our district's YouTube page, and I will send you that link as soon as this video is posted. And then living here in Palm Desert, I have found from time to time, particularly in the mornings, that the internet service gets unstable. And if I lose you, I'll come right back on and you'll have to re-sign in on your Zoom link to join us. That did happen one day this week. I don't remember which day, but don't panic. We'll be right back and that will be taken care of. So, Doug, the show is all yours.
I just shared with my wife that the palms of my hands are actually kind of sweating because this is the first time that I've been able to be in front of this district, and I'm kind of nervous about it. And thank you for your very warm introduction, Marilyn. And the reason that Jamie and I moved down here, it was part of my parole conditions. Okay. Anyway, let's get started talking about international service. Next year, under Governor Don, I will be serving as his international service chair. A little bit of background about me briefly. I am past district governor of District 5280, which is the Los Angeles area. I was during 2010 and 11, and also again during 2013 and 14. District 5280 puts together generally 3 dozen global grants every year, totaling millions of dollars. And they have people who fly to these grant sites all over the world as well. And I'm going to try to create some of that enthusiasm down here. And I'm going to go through the reasons why and see if we can't get a commitment and rattle things up a little bit. So let's get rolling. Building lifetime Rotarians, or some people call it international service. It has been proven. It really has been proven. Okay, that clubs that are involved in international service tend to be larger in membership, and their retention numbers are also much higher than normal. And we'll get to the reasons for that, why, in a little bit, and I'll back up what I just said in a little bit too. Okay, so, oh no. You guys like this slide? It may be the only one you're looking at all morning. Yes, dear. Thank you. Okay. What is this thing called international service? Well, I'll tell you what it's not. Okay. It is not a situation where you have a little bit of money left over for global grants and you got to give it to somebody. You have to spend it because it can't go for anything else. So you just give it away to some club for some project that you don't know anything about, you care less, that'll go to a country that you probably have never heard of, and that's the end of it. And more times than not, the members of your club don't even know you're doing it. Okay, that is not international service. Okay, international service is involvement. Either it's physical involvement or it's emotional involvement. Okay? Emotional involvement is simply the needs of another area are described to your club. A particular project or idea is described to the club. Okay? And the club likes it. Oh my gosh, we get to be part of something that can really be good and different. And we can own it. It's our project. We can do this. Okay? You get to see gratitude. You get to see thank you cards. You get to see photographs. You see progress reports. And you think, my goodness, this is really cool. Okay? That's the difference. That's service. That's getting involved. Not necessarily physically, although you'll have an opportunity to do that next year. Okay, but also emotionally. Why? Why do international service? Well, number one, we're part of an organization whose main focus, whose main goal is peace on this earth. Difficult to do. We oftentimes don't have peace on the street that we live on, let alone trying to get it all over the world. But how in the world do we become a more peaceful society globally if we don't get to know the people who live outside of our country? If we're not willing to understand their needs, that we don't shake their hand. Okay, let me tell you, if you build an orphanage in some country, okay, and you see the pictures of the children that are living there, the gratitude of the community, okay, the work that's being done there, you care if that region is hit by war, flood, fathom, you really care. But if you have no knowledge of that area, yeah, you don't care as much because you don't know it. You don't know it. So we build peace by getting involved with people outside of the United States. That also then creates a caring attitude, a more loving attitude. We know these people, we care about them, which brings us to the idea that we now are aware of where they are, what they do, what their needs are, and how we are helping them. Global awareness, caring about others that we'll never meet probably, and building peace. There's the cat I told you about earlier. Okay, excuse me. Finally, remember, we belong to an organization called Rotary International. Okay, very important. We are an international organization. And the other reason we want to get involved in global grants is because we're required to. Every district in the Rotary world, every one of them is required to do at least one global grant every year. So remember, that means that no matter where they are, no matter what country or continent they're in, they have to do something for the betterment of somebody outside their own country. Okay. So this myth that, oh, it's all North Americans, we do all this money, we give it out to the rest of the world. They have to give it back as well. Okay. It works all around the world. So there's why we should do it. There's why we should be involved. Okay. How do we get the funds to do something with it? You can see that there's a number of ways that one can contribute to our Rotary Foundation. But what happens is the money that is donated to the annual fund, just the annual fund, okay? That's where the money comes from our global grants, okay? Donations are given to our annual fund, and then they are seasoned, for lack of a better term, for 3 years. They sit there for 3 years. After that 3-year period is over, we get half of those donations back to our district. So whatever our district gave, 3 years later, we get half of it back, okay? When that comes back, and it comes back in what's called DDF, or district designated funds, okay? In this district, there is a percentage that goes to a governor's discretion fund, where he can decide how, he or she can decide how to allocate that portion of DDF. Another portion is allocated to the block grants, or for the use of the clubs to use in their own community projects. And finally, the last part of that is allocated for global grants. And that allocation has to be used for global grants, nothing else. It has to, all right? And for that portion that is used for global grants, Rotary International right now matches 80% of that. So if we had $200,000 come back and we use that all for global grants, okay, they would match 80% of it. Now all of a sudden that $200,000 is worth $360,000, and we haven't even got it started yet in finding other donors and other people to contribute to it. Okay, that's it in a nutshell. I know Helen will give a much more involved presentation about how the foundation works. Okay, tease you a little bit. There was a member of our district, okay, who gave a $500,000 donation to the annual fund, and it's going to happen again in January. Okay, so that's within the same Rotary year. Well, think about that. In 3 years, this district is going to get back $500,000 on top of everything else the district gives to be used for community or block grants and global grants, a very significant amount of money. Like to get us in practice on how to do this. So when that 3-year mark comes by, man, we've got it down and we can do some good in the world. Okay? Global grants, I want to point out, must originate in the host country. So if we're going to do a grant in Belize, okay, that beautiful country, by the way, it has to be originated by a Belizean club. They come to us saying, we have a need. Can you help us solve this need? They write the grant. They're in charge of the grant. Okay, and that's how it works. It's not we Americans dictating what somebody else needs in another part of the world. It's the other way around. Likewise, we can go to a club in Belize and say, hey, we have a need here in the Coachella Valley. We'd like you to get behind us and help fund this grant. Their global grant becomes, if you understand, our community grant. It works both ways, okay, and it can be done. I can't see all your faces, so I don't know which ones of you have confused so far, okay, but we'll keep plodding along and we'll have a chance to be unconfused soon. Okay. So what I'm hoping for this year is not to be a passive partner in global grants. what I was talking about before. Yeah, here's a check. We got a couple $1,000s in DDF. It has to be used for it. Let's just do it. Let's be done with it. No. It is the vision of the current governor, Dan, the incoming governor, Don, that the clubs should have control and to have their own grants, maybe 4 or 5 clubs go together, granted, to get involved in something that's meaningful outside of this country. Not just let the money sit there. Right now we have $200,000 in unused DDF in this district, designated for global grants. If that's not used by the clubs come June 30th, as you may know, it's rolled over into a big pool. And at that point, all clubs will have access to it. But the fact is, they don't do anything with it. They'll find something to give it to. The clubs won't even know really what's going on. So leadership of this district wants the clubs to have a buy-in, to have skin in the game, to get behind something that they can really feel and be part of. We want your clubs to be encouraged to know a cause. Why the cause? What area of focus it happens to deal with, the country it might be involved in. And our obligation on the district level is to make sure that if you're involved in this, you know what's going on. You're getting written progress reports, you're getting thank you cards, you're getting letters of the project, photographs of the project, things that your club, each member can say, oh my gosh, this is something. Look at what we're doing. Why is that a good thing? When we're all involved with just our community and right down the street, our members never really get to feel the enormity of this organization. This organization is incredible in all that it does and all that we do. We must have our members feel that, know it, experience that. That's what builds membership and retention. So I'm just saying, let's get away from just acquiescing and getting rid of our DDF. And let's do something meaningful. Well, what could that be? Believe it or not, I have some ideas for you. Okay. We're working very hard right now to identify 5 or 6 approved global grants that clubs in this district can be part of. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing. We are right now putting together the wording for a grant. Here it is. Actually being written as we speak, that will start a Brazilian nut processing plant in Peru. Let me make sure I understand this. A Brazilian nut processing plant in Peru. Okay. In Peru, nut flavored drinks are extremely popular. Okay, finding the farms that actually harvest these particular nuts becoming more difficult to do. We're working with an organization called Not for Sale, okay, and they've been around for 14 years now. And during the 14 years they've been around in countries all over the world, they have intercepted or rescued over, I want to emphasize this because to me it's staggering, over 200,000 victims of human trafficking. 200,000 trafficked individuals. And they've been working with these people to provide them economic security, education, pride. Okay, they're doing a phenomenal work all over the world. Okay, we wanted to work with them in Peru because we have a District 5280 has a good relationship with Peru. It happens to be one of the places we did an international service trip 3 years ago. And we have contacts down there, and they are jumping all over this. They're preparing to write the grant right now, and you'll be able to witness the fact that victims of trafficking, typically 10, 11, 12, 13 years of age, often sold by their parents into trafficking, will be able to go to school, learn a craft, satisfy themselves financially, and live a kind of life they never thought possible. Okay? It's really a phenomenal project. That's just one. Okay? We're also partnering with District 5280, so we can let them do all the paperwork, on 6, 7, 8 grants to a Central American country. Now, they haven't released the name of that country yet to 5280, so I'm not supposed to release it, but you may remember that I referred to a Central American country earlier. If you remember that, that's the place. And Belize, by the way, is a beautiful country. Okay, beautiful. I've been there. They will have 6 to 12 projects approved, funded, that will be involved in environment, in maternal care, okay, in microeconomics. Okay, you can pick almost any area of service that you want to, okay, for work down there. The neat thing about this one is you'll be offered the opportunity to go down there, okay, to see your projects at work, okay, to work with the people. If it's a nursery, you'll be able to see the children that you're working with. You'll be able to actually feel it and be there and be part of that. Okay, that'll be offered to you. Typically, 5280 sends about 100 people a year to that particular service trip, no matter where it's located. We've been to El Salvador, Guatemala, Turks and Caicos, Dominican Republic, Ecuador. We've been to all these different countries and experienced all these things. It is a thrill and a half. A couple of years ago, I asked our district administrator for 5280. I said, would you go do me a favor? Look at the list of the people who went on the international service trip 10 years ago, wherever that might have been. I want to know of all the people that went on that trip 10 years ago, how many of them are still members? The answer to that was each and every one of them. Each and every one of them. It really builds the Rotary feeling. Another one we're looking at in the country of Niger, Niger, they want to plant 1 million trees to redo a rainforest there. 1 million trees. And we're working with World Vision to make that happen. Now, these aren't projects that every district in the world is going to be involved in. No, no, no. It's just 5330 and 5280. That's it. We own them. We're part of it. Okay. And what a good feeling. And the final thing I wrote, or what? Clubs have to be allowed to say, ooh, I've got an idea. I have a friend who lives wherever, Mexico, Guatemala, whatever. They have a real need for such and such. Wow, let's develop that within your club and make that your project. We can get it done. We really can. Okay? Here's the good news. We're getting close to the end. Bottom line, let's get the enthusiasm back for international service in this district. Let's make it part of what we do. Make it part of our members' knowledge. Let them feel enthused about what they do and let them feel the, as I said before, the enormity of this organization and what it's all about. So I'm beseeching all of you, get involved in this, do it now. Let's get excited about it. Let's get our members excited about it. There's my contact information. I swear to you, you can call me or write me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, I don't answer the phone all but about 5 or 6 of those, but you can write anytime, okay, or call. I'm here to help. We're going to make this happen. And I think you guys are really going to like the results a year from. That's it. Any questions? How'd I do, Marilyn?
Well, I'm calculating the numbers now to give you a letter grade, and I'll let you know before the session. You know, that was a great presentation, Doug, and I say that because the focus of your presentation is get enthusiasm for Rotary International grants. And that's really a need here in this district. And I think maybe it's because there's not enough information to the members or the clubs for them to understand. And what you said today goes a long way. And I'm sure that if a club invited you to make this presentation, whether by Zoom or in person, depending on everybody's schedules, that you'd be available, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Barbara Drees asked earlier, and it was answered in the chat room, but she wanted to know the name of the organization, Helping Human Trafficking in Peru.
Not for sale. Okay. They've been around for 14 years, not just in Peru. They're in countries, several countries all over the world, doing a phenomenal job. Yeah. So
you know something about this organization, or you've researched them to know that they're legitimate? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. In fact, the chairman of the organization was a guest at the human trafficking dinner that was held in our district last month. He was there. Yes, we do. Now, the neat thing about doing grants through Rotary International is there's no way in the world you're going to be able to do a grant in which you're partnering with somebody who's not legit. Because RI just, you know, we think we know an organization. When they're done looking at them, they really know. They really know. Okay. But again, it's the club's responsibility, not the NGO responsibility. They're going to just facilitate things. Okay. David, Leroy, Dory, questions?
Good morning. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. I can't imagine this is the last time we'll hear from you, but as the club's international chair, are we responsible now for reaching out to you if we need additional information?
Absolutely.
Will you be in touch with us throughout the upcoming season and keeping us informed on all of these opportunities?
Yes, my responsibility to each of the international service chairs for each of the clubs is to just do that, keep them informed. Here's how we're progressing on things. And remember, these are ideas, okay?
Right.
They don't have to be dictated. It's just why not have a piece in what's going on? And you know, and the opportunities are there. And boy, and for those of you that get the idea of going to Belize next year, to actually be there, boots on the ground as these things are being implemented, I'm telling you, that's a Rotary thrill you don't get too often. Right?
Absolutely. So as a club, are we welcome to go outside of these ideas if we know of an international project?
Not only are you welcome, you are encouraged.
Encouraged to.
It would be wonderful. But remember, they have to originate in the host country.
Sure.
Yeah, and of course, the way you do that is you talk to them. What do you need? How can we help?
So we just make contact with other clubs,
yeah,
basically, and that's how we find out where the need is.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Doug.
You're welcome, Dory.
David Wick, you had your hand up.
Yes. So along that line, exactly along that line. So, for example, I know someone in, I believe it's Uganda, who is really working hard to organize an orphanage for many young people there. And that is a need that I have personally discovered. However, as you say, it needs to be coming from that country. So the process is what then? I mean, so how, I mean, no one else knows about it other than myself currently. So what's the process to get that engaged?
Your friend in Ghana should be in contact with a local Rotary Club. I explain that this is a need they have. Can they help them do that? Now, the local Rotary Club and that district, they are the ones ultimately responsible for the accountability and the reporting of that grant. And that goes on for like 3 years after the grant is completed. Okay, now if they don't do that correctly, if they don't do it on time, guess then who gets the hit for that? They do, and we do. Okay, so you have to make sure it's a club that knows this stuff, does this stuff, and has a reputation of paperwork. And we can find that out just by calling the right person at RI and say, how is this club doing in terms of global grants? Are they good? Okay.
Right. Okay. Because that seems like it could be a big sell. I mean, a club really needs to say, yeah, embrace it, as well as the district. So it could take a while to have that happen. Yeah,
a club itself does not do a global grant. The club will get it rolling, and then it goes higher up the food chain within RI and whatnot to get it approved. It becomes actually a grant of the district, even though the one club may be sponsoring it, and that one club will get the entire credit. There could be a plaque on a building in Guatemala someplace that says your club's name, okay, supplied the material, whatever, okay. You can't have it.
Thank you.
There are restrictions on grants. RI does not pay for the construction of a building, okay. Supplies, bedding, teachers, all the stuff that goes around that, yes, okay.
Great, thanks.
John, I'm sorry.
Yes, Doug, something that's become a hot topic of recent, of course, is the Ukrainian refugee crisis. Our club utilized the balance of our global DDF monies to support that whole refugee program. And I know that there was a little bit of confusion at the district level as far as yes, you can, or no, you can't. Could you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Yeah, there was confusion at the district level. I'm sorry, the cat unplugged my computer. I'm trying to.
It's all right. I can tell with my dog over here. So.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Typically, as I said, for DDF that is allocated to global grants, it can only be used for that purpose. That was the confusion. Okay, and then RI said, you know, we'll make an exception this time. We'll accept DDF back for the Ukraine Relief Fund. And that's what happened. Okay.
And do you have any idea as to how much of a response there's been as far as that's concerned?
I do not. Substantive. I mean, it's been a whole lot. that's, well, how do I phrase this in a politically correct way? When there's tragedy in the world, okay, people tend to respond in a huge way immediately before they realize what the long-term needs are going to be. Okay, and in most countries, God, the tsunami that hit Haiti, okay, the only organization that was left there cleaning up after 4 or 5 weeks after the tragedy, Rotarians. Okay, they kind of took a deep breath. Let's find out what they need, and we'll be there to resolve it. Little different situation in Ukraine because there's a war going on, and there's an immediate need to fund their defense. But I can't help but wonder, what are they going to need 6 months from now, and how in the world are we going to be able to supply that? And we all know there's going to be a huge amount of outreach from the Ukrainian Rotary clubs. I forget how many they have, 50 or 55, something like that.
60
okay.
some odd clubs. I heard they did.
And you know, they're going to be asking for a lot of grant money. Okay, and it's going to be very receptive to want to respond to that because of the immediate need, which is not a bad idea. It'll be fun to see. Well, there's a bad choice of words. It'll be interesting to see what their needs will be 4, 5, 6 months from now. Yeah, and maybe we can respond to that.
Okay, a follow-on question. How does Shelter Box tie in with all of this?
It doesn't. It's a Shelter Box is a partnership with Rotary and doesn't tie into global grants at all.
No, I understand that part of it, but I'm assuming we work pretty closely. Mm-hmm. I know our club has in the past.
Yes. With
Shelter Box to, provide much needed relief wherever it might be in the world.
And that continues.
Okay.
Actually, they're a pretty awesome organization. This is Sonia from Hemet. They were at the PETS training, and so I learned a lot about them. So I was really impressed, and I really thought that they bring significant value. I mean, and they're worldwide. So,
we had the Zone Institute in Tucson last November, and we had an interesting dilemma there because we were sold out. We had no rooms. The hotel was sold out. Registration was over the amount that we could handle comfortably. And someone made a joke, and I thought it would have been fun actually. Put up shelter boxes in the lobby of the hotel, those that don't have a room. And I thought, what a great way to show. Yeah, the hotel wouldn't let us, but I thought that would have been just a great way to show what that's all about.
Other questions? If I'm not mistaken, you can donate, and Doug, you correct me, it's been a couple of years since I dealt with Shelter Box, but you can donate directly to them. Is that correct?
Yes.
However, it's not matched by RI funds or any donations to Rotary International that you might make. So that's something to consider when you come across a project that you're interested in.
Yeah, those direct donations to organizations such as Shelter Box do not count for the allocation the district receives back in 3 years for its own use.
Not to discourage donations to them, for sure.
No.
Let me ask, how many of you are going to be your foundation chairs next year in your club? Okay, how many of you are presidents-elect? All right, and the rest of you are very interested parties. You probably wear many hats in your club. Am I correct? Yeah, yes. I think so.
Barry, it's good to see you. I'm glad you could show up in time that we could say goodbye.
Hey, one question. Yeah. Can you hear me, Doug?
Yes, sir.
We've tried to donate our DDF, when I say we, Rialto Rotary, to the disaster fund for Ukraine. And we have yet to get a response from the district for the transfer forms. Can anybody make a list or something? And I've discussed this with the governor line. We still have no transfer forms. And I know the end of April is the cutoff date to get those unused DDFs transferred. So could somebody make a note and try to
can I say something about that, Barry? This is Dee Thomas. I tried to do that and I got forms sent to me and they said that was a go, and I wanted to transfer our international money, and it was like what we all wanted to do in our club. And then I got a note from Dan saying we can't use our global or our international money for that. So that's a done deal. And I wrote him back and I said I thought that was unfortunate because it is a global project. It is a international project. it is what we should be using it for. And he said, yeah, I agree. But he had contacted the Rotary International, and they said no, that you had to use club monies for that. And I said, but that's for community, and most of that's already spent.
I
So,
think he's wrong on that.
I hope so.
Doug might be able to shed some light, but I do know that we need to put that transfer form into our district. It's only our district that can transfer those funds. As a club, we cannot. We can just make the request to the district, and that's where the problem is being held up, I believe, is getting that form filled out and sent back, and the Steve Yeager to get that form turned in. Am I correct, Doug?
You are correct. I will follow up on that as soon as we're off the call. I'll see what I can do to make that happen. We did mention earlier there was some confusion about using global DDF for the Ukraine relief efforts, because global DDF is restricted by use to just global projects. However, RI did change their mind and say, no, we'll allow the global DDF to be returned to us for the Ukraine relief fund. So there was some confusion there initially.
Yes, and Dan did send out a retraction or a reverse of his earlier comments on that.
Just recently?
Yes, in the last week.
Okay, I'll look, because when I wrote him, he said we couldn't use that.
No.
Yeah.
So,
Just remember, the important thing is the request has to go to Steve Yeager, our foundation guy, and he has to get it turned in by the end of April. So I'm kind of
Okay.
concerned there's not been a response from Steve as to this district's going to miss that opportunity.
I agree.
Michelle, you have a question?
Oh, I was just gonna say, we got the form from Steve a few weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, and got it filled out and sent back in. So
yeah,
maybe he's just overwhelmed, I guess, right now.
The email we got from Steve didn't have the form attached. It said to fill out the form, but the form was not attached, and I read the form since then and have fallen on deaf ears.
So there is some confusion around this because RI changed its rules, if you will, for this particular situation in Ukraine. So it might take a little bit of time to straighten it out, but keep after it. There's only 3 weeks left in April.
I filled it out, but I didn't send it in. So now I will.
Thank you, Marilyn and Doug. You guys did a fantastic presentation.
Yay.
All the kudos go to Doug.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
I
hope it's successful and we'll have enthusiasm about this.
Yeah. Well, you know, if clubs know they can use their funds for Ukraine, that might be a starting point to inspire people to get after it. So
yes,
I'm sure, Doug, you'll be leading the charge. And
yes,
each of you who are here today, take this back to your clubs. As I said, come on, Marilyn, get the words out in order. This session has been recorded and it will be posted on the district's YouTube page. And as soon as I get that link, I will send it to you. And you'll have not only the audio portion of this, but you'll have that pretty powerful PowerPoint that Doug put together. That was excellent, Doug. Thank you.
Thank you.
excuse me, I wanted to say, I'm sorry, Doug. I tried to get in numerous ways and finally got in. It was really hard for me to get in through my phone. I don't know. I put in the Zoom link at the bottom of the assembly page and it took me forever, but I finally got in and I apologize. So I'll be looking at the international PowerPoint that you did present, and I'm so sorry. The other thing is the global grant money. You know, if we wanted to give some to Ukraine and some to polio, is that okay? Would that work?
I don't believe RI will accept global DDF to Polio Plus. They will block grant DDF. I don't believe they accept the global grant.
They did in the past, but I don't know. I don't know. And they said that if we don't spend that global grant money in 5 years, they'll take it from us.
That is absolutely correct. I can assure you there's not going to be any governor in charge of this district that's going to allow that to happen.
Oh, okay, great.
That means the governors are going to be on you to get it spent.
That's right. That's right.
Well, it shouldn't be sitting there. It should be spent. All the monies should be spent. But, you know, this Ukraine thing has really put a wrench in what I'm trying to do for international service. So
Right.
I'll send it in. You know, I got a definite no from Dan. So, but I'll send it in.
It was initially a definite no from RI. Okay, and then under pressure from all the districts, RI changed their mind, and really so.
Good.
And said you can
Great.
send it back. I want to just carefully reiterate a point that I made a few minutes ago. We have a desire right now to take as much as we can and provide it for immediate Ukrainian relief, whatever that might be. And just keep in the back of your mind, they're going to need a whole lot more in a few months from now. Okay, and then we're going to be able to be involved in specific rebuilding and specific grant ideas for a specific region, specific people, specific club in the Ukraine. Let's don't use all of our DDF now. Let's save some to help this organization or this country some months from now. John?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just follow up for Dee and whatever problems she has linking in. If you go, Dee, if you go to zoom.com,
Yeah.
share a meeting and put in the code, it'll pop it right up. You don't have to go through the entire script that was indicated on the bottom of that initial flyer that indicated all the various meetings.
Okay. Thank
So,
you.
I mean, that makes it, that's the simplest way to do it.
Thank you.
Hey, Doug, may I confuse this a little more?
Please.
Okay, just keep in mind, folks, that come June 30th, if you haven't spent your DDF allocation, it's going into a district pool. You will no longer have control of that. So please don't let that happen. If your club wants to use that money for a specific cause, use it before June 30th, or else it will go into a district pool and the district will then decide what happens with that money.
And
You will
remember,
no longer have control of it.
yeah, we touched upon that earlier, Barry, and I want to say in the next 4 to 6 weeks, you'll have grant numbers and approved grants in several areas. We talked about Belize, we talked about Peru, that you might want to be involved in. Okay, and that would be really cool. That'll be coming out in the next few weeks.
Do you have to go to DACDB to find those?
No, we'll send them to you.
Please, because at one point there was a list and then I couldn't seem to find it back on DACDB. And I thought, well, if they won't let me give to Ukraine, maybe we could give to one of the other projects going on, because I want to spend some of our global money, not all of it, but some of it.
Sure.
So I looked again and I couldn't find that list. And I need to know which ones are open and need help.
Well, they're not open yet. They'll be open just a few weeks as we get grant numbers. And I will share with you, Dee, I think DACDB is one of the primary reasons that Preparation H is in business today.
Well,
Kudos for the truth there.
yeah, thank you.
It is the 4-way test.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, when you have trouble with the district website /DACDB, there are 2 or 3 people on this call who know how to maneuver it. Number 1 would be Barry. Number 2 would be Doug. Number 3 would be me. And raise your hand if you're familiar with DACDB and can navigate to some extent and help people out. I knew John was going to raise his hand. Okay.
I can, a little.
It's not uncommon for people to be frustrated trying to navigate around. And yesterday it was being converted to, something was being converted to WordPress, and it sent me an error message when I tried to get on.
Oh, no.
That's just great. I need information yesterday and I'm looking for it today, and it was down. But every website on the planet is in the process of doing the best it can to upgrade, and our district is right there on that list. So be patient, call Barry, call Doug, call Marilyn if you have problems. And if we don't know the answer, we'll find the answer. Right, Barry? Right, Doug?
Sure. Yeah. Boy, they call me, we're going to have to find the answer. That's the most confusing piece of software I think I've ever used. Yeah.
I tried calling Marilyn and the number that was given was disconnected.
Not my number.
Well, the one that was on the website said, call this number 619 anyway, and it was 619. I can't remember it right now, but
694-7073. My number is 619-694-7073. I have no qualms about putting it out to the world. It's been out to the world for the last 15 years. So I get every spam call you don't get. Thank me.
David? Question?
Yes, I would just want to let you know that I just put in the chat the flyer. I'm president of the the Rotary E-Club of World Peace. And on April 23, we have a fundraising for the Ukrainian funding. And it's a global music event. It's going to be really, really fantastic, but specifically to raise funds for this purpose. So just want to let you know that.
Melendez. Yeah. Is that related to Melendez?
That's her husband.
Oh.
Senator Melissa Melendez. Yeah, that's her husband.
Okay.
That was interesting. John?
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this would be directed to both Barry and Doug. As far as the, how many iterations have we gone through as far as DAC-DB? I mean, there's been at least, what, 3 or 4, maybe 5 different updates to that whole program? I mean, it just seems like every time you turn around, there's something else that has to be modified to the overall software.
Well, in my experience, I've been Rotarian for, just found out, 35 years. And most of that time has been with Club Runner. So part of my ignorance with DAC-DB is the fact that it's new. You know, it's just new. So, but I shouldn't have said anything. I don't want to turn this into a criticize.
Do you have any comments on that?
Previously, I was in District 5340, which is the San Diego area, and that district also uses Club Runner. I have found that DAC-DB has the capacity to do many more things than Club Runner does. And part of what you're seeing in the upgrades is, and Barry, you're probably more familiar with this than I, but part of the upgrades is to better utilize the capability of DAC-DB. So you're going to continue to see changes and improvements. And it's that way with every website I've ever been on, including RI's, which used to be a grade above DAC-DB in terms of frustration and inability to find things. I had better luck Googling whatever it was I wanted from RI, and I could find it that way. It's better now, but you know, I didn't grow up learning how to play video games or any of that stuff. I was like maybe some of you here who may be in my age group. Can I put it that way? We didn't learn it. It's not innate to us. It didn't come with our DNA. I call my grandsons when I need help with my television. So if I can learn it, anybody can learn it. And I've had to call for help many times in navigating DAC-DB. And Dan Goodrich and other people are always eager to help you and walk you through step by step, even more than once. I have found they'll help. So be patient.
DAC-DB, when we switched over a number of years ago, we just used the basic service of it. And over the years, we have found that they offer some incredible packages with it. And so that's where the frustration is coming right now, because we're trying to integrate the new packages. Folks, I guarantee you it'll get easier as we go.
Linda, you had a question?
No, I just had a comment. Michael Soden sends out information, emails all the time for training on DAC-DB. There's one coming up regarding the global grant thing on Tuesday. So I try to go to all of his sessions if I can. They are also recorded, so you can get them in the previous sessions too. So there's a lot of training available for DAC-DB.
Thank you for that, Linda. You know, a lot of us don't take advantage of those classes, and we wait until we're in panic mode and call somebody to figure out how to do something. So do as Linda says, don't do as Marilyn does. I'm going to start taking some classes, Linda. Thank you for the reminder. All right. Any other comments for the good of the order? This has been a very interactive session for, amazingly, a Saturday morning. Yes, Mike.
Good morning. I assume that you can hear me. I wanted to just give a shout out to the people that are on here for being on here on a Saturday morning. And I know most of your faces. It's wonderful to see you, especially Doug. Doug, I've always thought that you were the best speaker since I've met you. It used to be Mr. Chase, but I think you were the one that coined the three-way test, isn't it?
Who knows? I mean, in moments of insanity, I've done all sorts of things. So
I thought I seen you on YouTube with the three-way test, which is number one, is it fun? Number two, will it hurt anybody? And number three, will anybody find out?
yeah, that was not me, but part
That was not you.
Part of what I do is
It's been stuck on my wall since I seen that YouTube video, and I quote it to kids every once in a while because I still do a lot of interact. So
I wish I could take credit for it, but no, that wasn't me. So.
And number one is it fun? So this is fun. Seeing Susan and not seeing Dee, it was, it's just a lot of fun.
Oh, I should point out, by the way, my term of service starts July 1st under Governor Don. However, Governor Dan has asked me to get involved in the remaining of this year to encourage you to and find things that you can get involved in to use your global DDF so it does not go back to the district pool and you lose control over it. So
yeah.
Okay.
All right. If you think, Barry, were you going to say something?
I'm just going to tell everybody I'm in Las Vegas. I'm going to see Barry Manilow tonight, and I've got breakfast waiting for me. So I want to sign off, but I want to say thank you to everybody.
I guess that's a pretty good reason we'll let you go. Thank you for joining in today, Barry. We really appreciate it.
Good to see you, Barry. Good to see you.
Good luck on the tables.
Yeah. If you think it would be helpful, I can send you the email addresses of everybody on the call this morning. I'm not going to go through that drill if you don't want that, because I have to look them up individually on DACDB. So what I see, well, I think you guys just want me to get really more proficient on DACDB, right? I will send you each other's email addresses. They're all there on DACDB. So, and I think I might even send you the instructions for how to find other email addresses and save myself some time in the future. Okay, again, thank you. Doug, thank you so much for bringing your expertise and your knowledge and your dry sense of humor, which I absolutely love. You guys have a fantastic. Dory, did you have something you wanted to add?
Nope, just clapping.
Oh, okay. Thought it was a hands up. All right. You guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for coming in on a Saturday. This has been the best session of District Training Assembly to date. So thank you.
Today. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.